Hey everybody, Cinema Sickness here with your daily sickness video, and happy Sunday to each and every one of you. And to all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Oh my god, yes, I just said that. I did actually remember a holiday on the day I'm shooting these videos. It always happens. Like Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, whatever. It seems like whatever holiday it is, like I remember like the next day, I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention yesterday and in yesterday's video that it was an actual holiday. I don't know why, but I remember this time. So happy Mother... Wow, the lighting is crazy. So happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you mothers out there. So, all right, let's dive right into today's daily sickness video. What I have for you today is some more reviews. We're doing the second half of the reviews. I mentioned a couple days ago when I did some reviews, I mentioned that I was a little backed up on reviews, so I had a lot to do. So I was going to split it up into two videos since I didn't feel like doing like 100 reviews in one video, so we're splitting it up. So this is the second half after this next review video, which will come in a couple days, all Star Wars, so be excited for that. But for now, we're going to take a look at the last few titles I watched up until my Star Wars marathon, and I'm currently about to finish, actually, one more movie, and I'm done. So, alright, let's get right down to it. So, first up here, awesome movie, really enjoyed this one. This was called Overnight. Now, this is all about, I forget his name, Troy Duffy, who is the creator of Boondock Saints, who is the writer and director of Boondock Saints. This movie was very interesting. I knew nothing about this guy. I've seen Boondock Saints, I've seen Boondock Saints 2, which again, he's writer and director for both those movies. I've seen the movies, and I know what I know of the movies. First one's awesome, second one was a complete piece of fucking garbage, but, that's really all I knew about the movies. I just knew of the movies. I've seen the movies. I own the movies, but I really didn't know anything behind the story. And it's a very interesting story. This is a documentary shot during the process of the making of the first movie. And this guy, Troy Duffy, completely destroys himself. It is almost hard to watch this documentary and watch him just bring himself down, just crumble this little bit of an empire he's built. This guy, definite rags to riches. He was just, a nobody. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, a bouncer at a bar. Just complete nobody. Writes this script. It's actually, pretty good. Boondock Saints, good movie. Writes the script. Miramax is going to pick him up, pick the script up, wants him to direct it. He's going to throw this money at him. They're going to, buy him a bar, which is, part of the contract is to buy him a bar. His band, he's in this band. They're going to actually feature this band prominently on the soundtrack, so the band's gonna get a record deal out of this and stuff. So really good for this guy. I mean, is no-name guy who's I don't want to say necessarily down on his luck, but just an average Joe gets his movie script seen and has Miramax, a decent company, want to pick this up. He's going to direct it. He's going to get all this money. He's going to get a bar out of it. His band's going to get recognized and big out of this. And he just single-handedly wipes his ass with the entire experience. It is so painful to watch his downward spiral. And he does it all completely himself. He is a complete douchebag. He doesn't quite get Hollywood. And Hollywood, I'm sure we've all heard stories, not the most friendliest place, not the most easiest place to work. It's, you gotta kind of take the punches, I guess, if you're gonna, become anything in Hollywood. You can't, it's not really your way. It's kind of Hollywood's way or the highway, unfortunately. He doesn't really take it that way. Wants everything to go his way, wants people to call him back, wants this, wants that, everything like that. And just shoots himself in the foot the entire time. Curses out, really important people who he needs to be very nice to. Curses them out, calls them names, flips out, and, just phone calls where he just flips the fuck out, just goes horribly wrong. So not only does Miramax end up dropping him, so at this point he kind of gets himself blacklisted, so no other studio wants to pick him up, no other studio wants to pick up Boondock Saints. He's screwed. Apparently he pitched the movie to every studio after Miramax dropped him. Nobody wanted him because he was blacklisted. So he gets screwed there. Of course, his band loses out. They got a record deal, but they only ended up putting out one record because when that record sold, I think it sold like 800 copies or something like that. It sold really, really badly, and the record company dropped them. So their band got screwed. he screwed himself. Eventually, like a little no-name company. I think it's 20th Century Fox is the one who puts it out now, but some little no-name company picked the plot, the story up and said, all right, you can make the movie on like half the budget Miramax is going to give you. So he had to make it like on like a no budget. They end up putting the movie out, but his contract apparently gave him no like earnings from like movie sales and like merchandise sales. So his movie made nothing. The movie was a flop when it came out. It wasn't until later on that it became this big cult hit. Everybody loves it now. DVDs and Blu-rays sold like crazy. Merchandise sold like crazy. So this little known company actually made some money off this movie. He made nothing off it. So yeah, so you kind of feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, you're kind of like, well, he did it himself. Like, he was just a complete douchebag. He just really like egotistical and thought he was like, God of like everything. The way he treats his friends and his band, his band would want certain things and say, we want this, we want that, and he'd go, everything, it's all up to me. If it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for my movie, it wasn't for this movie, you guys wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't be in this state of getting a record deal and everything. He's like, you owe everything to me. I'm God. Like, that's basically what he was saying. Just like everybody's idea. Fuck everybody's idea. It's all up to me. I call the shots here. Screw all of you. It's all up to me. And just complete douchebag. And again, you kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, you're like, well, you did it all yourself. You everything that happened to you, all because of you. You did it all yourself. You're an idiot. You're a douchebag. And you kind of deserve what you got. And it's sad at the very end. He's just working. I think he's working again as a bouncer in a bar or something like that. Other bandmates are like painting houses and stuff. They're the band's not together anymore. So I feel that's who I really feel bad for. I feel bad for all the people he brought down with him, like his bandmates, because he could have been something good. His band could have got some. I don't know if his band ever would have became anything famous, but they would have been on the soundtrack. Maybe got some radio play. Maybe they could have been at least somewhat popular. Maybe they could have had like a fan base, at least to some extent, had things gone right. But since that wasn't the case, he brought his bandmates down. They're the ones who I feel really bad for at the very end. You're like, well, I just, these guys, got screwed because of some douchebag in their band. Had that not been the case, this guy, it was because of him and his movie that's anything was happening with you guys. You guys were getting a record deal, but the way he handled it brought all down. So you get this great thing that this guy brings you, but then he destroys it at the same time. So I feel really bad for those guys. But anyway, this was a really fun movie. If you want to see what not to do in Hollywood, if you want to, if any of you guys out there are writing scripts or you want to get into Hollywood or anything like that, and you want to see how not to handle Hollywood, watch this movie. Basically do the exact opposite of this douchebag right here. Again, Troy Duffy. Do the exact opposite of him if your movie gets picked up or anybody starts recognizing you, and you'll do very well. So, interesting movie. Check it out. This movie was a lot of fun. Very, very cool movie, but kind of brutal at the same time. All right. Then I checked out Lucy, which apparently a lot of you guys really, really enjoyed. Personally, and I say that because when I said I was watching this on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff, a lot of you guys were saying like, oh, I love that movie. It was so great. My thoughts personally was that it was just okay. It was all right. It wasn't a bad movie, but it was just okay. The whole humans using only 10% of your brain thing, that's bullshit anyway, which, I'm sure anybody who's like a scientist is watching this and thinking like, oh my God, they probably just wanted to like punch, who wrote and directed this? Written and directed by, Luce Besson? Is that who it is? I don't know who that is. Probably just wanted to punch them in the face because, that's not true. The whole humans only use 10% of the brain thing, BS. So that's the whole basis of this movie, though. So we only use 10% of our brain. If we use this much, we'd be like this. If we use that much, we'd be like that. Well, Scarlett Johansson, Lucy here, ends up using 100% of her brain, all because of this drug she takes. Kind of an interesting idea, sort of, where it's this drug that's this synthetic drug that's produced, that's made, and I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but basically she has this drug put into her, and again, I'm not gonna get into how that happens. I'll let you watch it when you find out yourself. But she has this drug put into her, and the drug is basically a drug. It's kind of like when, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but when you're in your mother's womb, it's this like hormone or something like that that's given to you, and it's kind of like this hormone that kind of gives you like sort of everything you need to to become, a human and stuff, grow and learn and do your functions and whatnot, or supposedly. I don't know if this is true or not, but she gets this synthetic drug put into her, and it like courses through her body, doesn't kill her, it comes close, doesn't kill her, but she ends up using 100% of her brain because of this. So that's the whole thing. And of course, people like trying to hunt her down and whatnot. And it's, it's an okay movie. It's a fun sci-fi action movie. It's okay. It's fun. It's interesting. It's complete bullshit. It's all BS. But nothing wrong with that. Most movies are. So it is fun. I mean, I do kind of hate the fact that they kind of are. So many people are probably watching this and like going out the next day and be like, "Hey, did you guys know we only use 10% of our brains?" Which is something that should not be getting passed around, because that's false. And I hate when things I just hate when like things like that get passed around. Like people Facebook is like notorious for this. I hate when somebody posts something on Facebook and then it gets reposted to like a million people and everybody believes that post when it was complete BS in the first place. Nobody fact checks anything. I have a feeling that this movie kind of probably did that, where lots of people who saw this movie were going around, at the water cooler the next day saying, "We only use 10% of our brains. I just saw it in a movie." Anyway, Lucy. Decent movie. I enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty good. Special effects were great. The story was decent. It is worth a watch. If you want to see Lucy, I would say check it out. It was a fun movie. I don't think it's like the masterpiece that so many people like seem to think it is. Like I said, when I was watching it, some people were like, "I love that movie. It was the best movie." Some people were saying it was like the best movie of the year they saw. I really wouldn't go that far, but it was a decent watch. I just don't think it was anything mind-blowing. No pun intended. I don't think it was anything like overly fantastic, but it was still a good watch. Check it out. It was enjoyable. All right. Then I checked out Nirvana live at Reading, and oh my God, do I love Nirvana. Great band. I've already said this story before, but I used to be a huge like Nirvana junkie back in my middle school days. I was obsessed with Nirvana. I knew everything about them. Kurt Donald Cobain, Eric David Grohl, and Chris Anthony Novoselic. I knew all. Yeah, I still remember that. I know the full name. I knew all their birthdays. I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, I was obsessed with Nirvana, and I still retain a lot of that really useful information that I remember like memorized back in middle school. I was just obsessed with Nirvana. Nirvana was huge back then. I was obsessed with Nirvana. I thought they were fantastic. Then I got into I kind of got out of the whole like grunge and alternative music. I was really into it for like a really long time. And then kind of like, I guess high school kind of came around, maybe like I'd say by like, I don't know, eighth grade, yeah, maybe like 8th, 9th grade, something like that. I started to really get into like punk music and ska music, and then I kind of pushed all that alternative rock out of the way, which kind of made sense because even with like bands like Nirvana and stuff like that, the songs I listened to over and over again were like the really heavy songs. Like Nirvana had a few like kind of like fast, heavy songs. I was obsessed with them. Same thing with like Smashing Pumpkins. They had some like really hard songs, which I really love. So it kind of made sense where I was like really into all like the really hard, like fast songs. And it turns out that like, okay, those songs were kind of like punk-ish. They were kind of mimicking punk music. So when I heard punk, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, all this music's really fast and loud. This is fantastic. So all this music kind of got pushed to the side. But years later, when I kind of wised up and realized that, you know what, punk and ska music isn't the only type of music out there. I should really be listening to a whole wide genre of music. I got back into bands like Nirvana and all that grunge and alternative rock music. Got back into that. Found a bunch of other types of music too I never listened to before. So still a big fan of Nirvana now. Like I said, got out of them for a little while, but now I'm definitely back into Nirvana. Just fantastic band, and it's so awesome to watch them live. This is really, really cool. I read some stuff online about people saying like, they thought this would never get released, and it finally did, so that's cool. This is also a CD-DVD combo, so very cool. Not only will you have the DVD, but you can also have the CD too, which is awesome. So really cool release. Very cool to watch this. I loved it from start to finish. Fantastic songs. I believe this is all, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it's mostly all Nevermind and, I think this is all Nevermind and Bleach, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think any of this is. I think this was before In Utero. So anyway, if I'm not mistaken, I could be. But anyway, so very awesome. Nirvana live at Reading. Definitely check this out if you were a Nirvana fan. It's definitely worth picking up. It's worth seeing. It's awesome. Great live performance by Nirvana. Okay, then I checked out Daniel Radcliffe in Horns, and my God, Daniel Radcliffe, he needs to be in like so many more movies. Although every time I say I love somebody and they need to be like in more movies, they become like a big hit like the next year, and I think they do a lot of bad movies. Shia LaBeouf, for instance, I remember like when he like kind of first started like to break out, I was like, this guy's awesome, he's amazing, he needs to be in more movies, and then he was in more movies, and now, you know, he was in a lot of like movies. So he used to be in a lot of really good stuff, used to be like this great actor, and then kind of like shot himself in the foot. So hopefully Daniel Radcliffe does not do that, because I like the roles he picks. All his movies I've ever seen him in, I mean, everything from My Boy Jack to Woman in Black, the Harry Potter movies, of course, Horns. I mean, everything I've seen him in, he's been fantastic, and I just love him. And he was great in Horns. This was a fantastic movie. I like the fact there's like some religious overtones, but they're taken differently. It's not like preaching like that. It's very interesting the way they do this movie, and I love the fact that he's blamed for the killing of his girlfriend. It's almost like a murder mystery in a way, because he's trying to find out, you know, he knows he didn't kill his girlfriend, but he's trying to find out who did kill his girlfriend. But of course everybody blames him for it, and he's got to figure that out. But he ends up doing it. He just ends up becoming like evil, because everybody is just like putting him down and just making him out to be this evil, you know, devil of a person, and he ends up taking on that persona, and, you know, grows the horns, and everybody comes in contact with just becomes like completely evil, which is awesome, and just does a whole, you know, says and does horrible things, which I absolutely loved. And of course in the end he finds out, you know, who actually was responsible for his girlfriend's murder, and very cool climax. Horns is definitely one to check out. If you're a Daniel Radcliffe fan, this is definitely something you must see. Horns was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Again, this is another movie that some people were saying like favorite movie like the year. I wouldn't necessarily say that either, but it was really good. I guess if you think this movie is like one of like the best of the year that you've seen, when did this come out? Was this like 2000? Was this last year? This wasn't this year, right? I could be wrong. Yeah, 2014. So, if this is like your favorite movie of 2014, I can't really complain. Like Lucy, if you said when I have no idea when these movies came out. When the hell did? Was this 2015? 2014. Okay. So if you say Lucy was like your favorite movie of 2014, I'd be like, really? I mean, it was good, but you know, whatever. If you said Horns is your favorite movie, I would still be like, I disagree, but I kind of could be like, all right, but you know, fair enough. If it was good enough, that I'm like, all right, if it's your favorite movie, I'm not gonna complain with you on that one. So Horns, good movie. Check it out. All right, where was I? I'm losing my place now. Okay. Oh my God, this. Out of everything I'm going to show you was my favorite thing, which you're going to like laugh at me because of what it is, but I'm obsessed with documentaries. I love documentaries. I can't get enough of documentaries. Documentaries is my all-time favorite genre ever, and this was so good. This is Hollywood on Hamilton, Remembering Hess. Remembering Hesses. So many of you out there are probably wondering, what the hell is Hesses? Hess's was a department store from Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is like 45 minutes away from me. They did end up branching out. Some of you may remember like they had like smaller department stores and like malls and stuff like that. Some of you may remember them from back in the day. But they all started out in Allentown, this, you know, little department store in Allentown, ended up becoming this huge department store in Allentown, this big, gigantic department store. And then things just kind of went bad. It's this awesome story of just how just amazing and fantastic this department store was. And it's, as it says, Hollywood on Hamilton. Basically, you know, they kind of like, you know, you think of like you know, Fifth Avenue in New York City. They kind of were like a Fifth Avenue department store in a small little micro city like Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is, you know, this little tiny, again, I call it micro city, where it's not like a big, it's not like Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or something like that. It's like Reading, Pennsylvania, Norristown, Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania, these, you know, even Harrisburg, I guess you could say, these little tiny kind of like really small, compact, like, again, little micro cities. That's what Allentown, Pennsylvania is. But they were like a big, huge department store. Famous people would shop there. Famous people would come there to for advertisements and stuff. It would be, they had this huge like flower show there every year. Big, huge Christmas displays and stuff. Absolutely awesome. And unfortunately, as a kid, I never got to see that. It's really depressing because you see this great, fantastic, amazing store, and then it's the downfall of the store. The store just kind of falls apart. They try branching out and doing having little stores in malls and stuff, which is how I remember Hess's little local mall in my area back in the day had a Hess's, and that's how I remember it. I remember my godmother worked there. I remember going there all the time with my mother. She used to do a lot of shopping there. I remember they had like a wrapping department, so anytime we needed something wrapped, like we take it there and they'd wrap it. I remember I remember like this design. That's what I remember most. That Hess's design right there on the side. I remember like the wrapping paper and all this stuff and the boxes. It would say that. In fact, I think when I moved into this house, because again, I inherited this house from my parents, so my father passed away. I remember coming across like shirt boxes with that logo on. I should have kept them. I didn't though. So again, Hess's, I remember it being a really cool store as a kid too. They had this really cool really 80s section. Everything was like neon lights and all the mannequins were like super 80s. It was just like the cool hip kind of like teen department. It was awesome. Because you had to like walk through there to get from the department store into the mall. And when I was a kid, I loved walking that little area. I used to just walk around. I remember everything was like mirrored and stuff. It was so cool inside there. I loved it. Never shopped there because I was too young. My parents never shopped there because they were too old, but walking through it was just so awesome. So again, really, really cool. Very sad to watch, the store, the company end up closing and the store shutting down. Apparently there's another local company called Bonton. They ended up buying them out and shutting all the stores down and opening up some Bonton stores. But it's very depressing, especially when they end up tearing down the Hess's department store building in Allentown, which is really, really sad. Many people in Allentown apparently thought that, it's a historical building. It should be, it should stay up. Whatever they do with it, they should keep the building up. They end up just taking a wrecking ball to it and tearing the whole thing down, which is really sad at the very end of the movie when they're showing that. Very depressing because it just, it's great. And I get really nostalgic for a time that I didn't even live in when I see this. Like, in my opinion, like I was born the wrong time. I should have been living in the 1950s. To me, like the 1950s is just perfect. Although when I tell it to my wife, she always reminds me. She's like, we wouldn't be together if it was the 1950s. We'd probably be like hung from a tree. And she's probably right. My wife is black, and I don't. A lot of people would probably have turned their nose up to us being married in the 1950s. So racism aside, obviously that's like the worst part. The 1950s, in my opinion, perfect, except for racism. That part not so good. Everything else, awesome. So I just, the way just to see how everything was back then. I think, from my opinion, I think it was all basically just community back in the day. Like, even growing up, I'd say like communities kind of started to die, in my opinion, like kind of in like the 80s, maybe even I'd see the 70s. Once the 70s kind of came around, like you kind of saw the writing on the wall. And then once the 80s came, it almost felt like, in my opinion, I grew up like, I was born in 82, so I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s as a kid. I remember back then, I remember that it was almost like people were trying to hold on to that 1950s, like 1960s, kind of like community. I remember like Christmas and stuff like that, all those like kind of like retro Christmas displays and stuff, and retro like Christmas ornaments and all kinds of Christmas stuff back in the day. I remember that was a big thing back then. It was almost like they were just trying to hold on to that, and then it just died. I remember like, and I know a lot of you people are going to say, oh, my town still does this. I know a lot of towns still do like community tree lightings and all kinds of stuff like that, and that's great. My town used to do that. Doesn't do it anymore. Even like, I remember even going to like Halloween parades and Christmas parades and stuff like that when I was a kid. My town still does them, but they're just not the same. It's kind of like a big jumbled mess nowadays. And I know I sound like an old fart here, but I really like love the aspect of like, community, like your town coming together for certain things and loving certain things and being one. I mean, I was just talking to my wife the other day. I'm like, I'm not religious at all. I have no interest going to church. I used to go to church when I was a little kid. I never liked it. It's not my thing, but I was like, man, I would love to join a church just for the community alone. Although I'm sure that's probably dead now as well. But I just miss community. I miss, it seems like neighbors don't even talk anymore. People never come together. It just, the community communities are just dead now. Everybody wants to just keep to themselves, and that's definitely a shame. It's definitely sad. And when I watch something like this, it just brings me, makes me, I should say brings me back. And I was never born in the 50s or lived in the 50s, but it reminds me of the 1950s. It makes me think like, man, it just would have been such a better, fantastic, awesome time to live. And I don't know, I'm just reminiscing on something and going off on a tangent on something that I was never involved in. Sorry. But anyway, Hollywood on the Boulevard, Remembering Hess, absolutely fantastic PBS documentary. Certainly not going to be for everybody because most of you probably have never even heard of this store, do not care about this store. But for me, I love this. This was an awesome documentary. I will be watching this one over and over and over again. Loved it. All right, so now that I just talked about something that none of you care about, let's talk about some other weird stuff. We have a double feature here of Women's Prison Massacre and Caged Women, both Bruno Mattei films. It is what it is. It's TNA Italian movies. It's what it is. Women's Prison Massacres, it's interesting. I'm going to get these two mixed up. I know I am. All right. Yeah, Women's Prison. Both the movies are very similar. I'm trying to think, like, okay, what happened in one? What happened in the other? So, if I remember this all correctly, hopefully I do. Women's Prison Massacre was really interesting because it takes place in this women's prison, and you think that movie would be about the women in the prison. It ends up being about these guys who are being transported for like sentencing to death, and they end up stopping off at this women's prison, and they kind of like take the prison hostage, and they take over the prison, and it ends up becoming like kind of about these like guys basically. And I'm like, where the hell did this come from? I thought this movie's gonna be about like the women in prison. No, it really turns into this kind of like guy movie that happens to just feature some women in it. And yeah, don't get me wrong, the women at the end kind of they do, all fairness, they do rise up, but it's just like, I don't know, when the men come in, it just gets really heavily like focused on them. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But like I said, the women do end up rising up at the end, so I guess it all works out. It was okay. It was interesting. It's just a weird Bruno Mattei movie. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. TNA Italian movie. And same thing with Caged Women. All in this one, we have a girl who is like sent into the prison to infiltrate, like, to basically find out all like the horrible goings on that are in the prison. Well, of course, the warden finds out about this, and shit goes awry there when she finds out that what this girl's doing, and she doesn't really like that, obviously, so she does what she can to keep her there because nobody knows she's there. So she takes the warden takes advantage of that, and she almost gets stuck there. But of course, in the end, everything gets kind of rescued and whatnot. But I'm not gonna go too in the detail of these movies. They're okay. They're what they are. They're Italian TNA. I mean, look at that, Italian TNA movies. They're all right. It is what it is. Although I Caged Women made me laugh though, because there's this doctor again. If I'm not confusing the two of these movies, I really shouldn't have watched them back to back because they are so similar. There's this doctor who is a male doctor. Apparently, he was he's a prisoner as well to like a male prison, but he's a doctor there because I guess he was a doctor. The reason he got in trouble is because he killed his wife, because his wife was like dying and basically begged him, like, just kill me, put me out of my misery. He did that because he killed her out of love, but of course the law didn't see it that way. And the whole movie is, it's all about how much he loved his wife. He loved his wife. He loved his wife. He loved his wife. And he's like banging everybody in this prison. He's banging like the warden. He's banging our main chick who's infiltrating stuff and falling in love with her. He's just like banging everybody in this movie. And I'm like, wow, you must really have loved your wife to just be like nailing everybody. So I don't know. They're interesting movies. They're not going to be for everybody. But if you like Bruno Mattei movies, check them out. I'm not going to get too into that. All right. And then the last thing here I checked out was Dragon Ball Z Season 3. Finally making my way through Season 3. Took me a little while to get through this. I like blew through Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z is taking me a little while to get through. I will make it. Don't worry. I still have, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more seasons to go. So I got a little while to go yet. Then I got Dragon Ball GT to watch. And there's that new Dragon Ball season coming out. And then I got all the movies as well. It's going to take me a really long time to get through all these, but I will. This was great. Loved it. I love the whole Frieza saga, which is what this is. I love watching them have the battle Frieza right there. It was, again, another fantastic season of Dragon Ball, all based around this, horrible, basically like the kind of like the one of the like most, at least one of the most powerful beings like in the universe, and Goku having to kick some ass. Awesome. Goku finally becomes a Super Saiyan in this season, which is awesome. I love when he becomes a Super Saiyan. I actually posted a clip of that on Instagram. It's so awesome when he like does it. Just the look in Gohan's face, his son's face when he does that. It's so awesome to watch him become a Super Saiyan. So great season of Dragon Ball Z. I'm loving it. And again, like I said, if you're like me and it took you forever to get around to finally watching the Dragon Ball seasons, check them out. Watch Dragon Ball. It's a great, 5 seasons long? It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's a must-see. And then Dragon Ball Z, again, it took me it took me maybe like halfway through the first season to kind of get into it because I was so used to Dragon Ball, and I had to get used to some little changes here and there. But now, 3rd season in, completely used to every little bit of a change, and I am loving this, and I cannot wait to see where season 4 goes. So Dragon Ball Z season 3, check it out. Check out all Dragon Ball. It's fantastic. Although I hear Dragon Ball GT is not so good. So I don't know. When we get there, we'll talk about it. But as of now, Dragon Ball is great, and Dragon Ball Z is fantastic as well. So, all right, guys, there you go. That is it. That is for today's daily sickness video. Just some reviews for you guys. So watched a lot of cool stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I am recommending every single thing I saw. Again, Lucy, I loved. Well, I thought it was good. Thought it was decent. It's worth a watch. If it's something you want to check out, see it. Again, it's not. I don't think it's anything mind blowing, but it is still worth checking out. Nirvana live renting. If you like Nirvana, then you must see this. Dragon Ball Z. Again, I love Dragon Ball Z. See ya. My opinion, one of the greatest things I've watched all year. Hollywood or Hamilton. Remembering Hess's. This is so not for everybody, but it is so for me. And if you like documentaries, check it out. It's so well done. The only thing I'm going to kind of say like into is the women's prison massacre and Caged Woman. Both movies are just okay. They weren't anything great. Will I ever watch these again? No, I will never. I can tell you right now, I'm never going to watch these again. I mean, unless somebody comes over and says, Dave, a friend comes over and says, I really want to watch these movies. Maybe then, but personally, I will never watch these again. Not that they were horrible movies, but whatever. I'm done with them. So, if you want to see them, check them out. Otherwise, you don't need to. Horns, though, on the other hand, check Horns out. Horns was fantastic, and I'm dropping stuff. Horns was fantastic. See this movie. Again, another just brilliant performance by Daniel Radcliffe. Love him. Horns was great. And definitely see Overnight, just so you can watch somebody completely shoot himself in the foot, and you can learn what not to do in the world of Hollywood. Overnight was fantastic. See that. So, all right, guys, there you go. Again, that is it. So, like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. All you gotta do is click the thumbs up tab down below. It takes 2 seconds, and it means the absolute world to me. I'd really appreciate the support. Also, if you're not already over at Cinema 6, oh, actually, no, I'm leaving things out. If you're not already subbed, please do. I do a daily sickness video every single day, reviews, collection updates, unboxing, cinema hunting videos, looks into my collection, looks into my sickness for cinema on a daily basis. I've been doing it for over 4 years now with no plans on stopping. So hit that subscribe button. You'll see me every single day. And then also, if you're not already over at cinemasickness.com, there's a link down below. Click on that link, head over there, check it out. I do post these videos there, but I post so much more as well. There's all kinds of other posts for you to check out over at cinemasickness.com. You can also see my entire collection, what I'm watching, my wish list, FAQ page, etc., including Team Sickness. If you like my videos, you're going to like the videos from Team Sickness. All you got to do is click on the Team Sickness tab. And also right there, be sure to click on the merchandise tab where you can purchase yourself a Cinema Sickness button, a Cinema Sickness hat, a Cinema Sickness t-shirt, which usually I'm wearing. I'm usually wearing Cinema Sickness t-shirts, but decided to start wearing some of my non-Cinema Sickness t-shirts again. It was getting kind of ridiculous that every day I was wearing one of my own t-shirts. So, where you can buy a Cinema Sickness t-shirt that you can wear, Cinema Sickness hoodies, tank tops, baby gear. There's a satchel now. All kinds of awesome merchandise, Cinema Sickness merchandise for you to purchase. And again, really appreciate the support there as well, because all proceeds simply just go to be putting some gas in my car so I can head out, pick up some stuff to show you in daily sickness videos, or what I really plan on doing this summer, heading out to lots of flea markets and whatnot, and shooting some awesome cinema hunting videos out there. So it simply just goes to me putting some gas in my car. So I really appreciate the help. So anyway, guys, that's it. thanks for watching. Again, hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Hope you mothers are having a great Mother's Day. And I will see you all tomorrow on Monday. See you then, guys. Bye.